Hi. Today, I want to share about my experience being in private practice for close to 2 decades. During all this time, I have consistently received this same question from potential clients, which is, how long do you think I'll be in therapy? Now, to be honest with you, earlier in my career, I used to answer that question with, I don't really know because I didn't know these people, right? I didn't know their trauma history and so on. But with the benefit of experience, I can now offer a more educated guess. So if you're thinking of seeing a therapist, consider these 7 factors because they can help you determine how long your therapy experience will be this time. Number one, how severe is your hurt? If you were hurt one time in adulthood, chances are it'll take you shorter in therapy rather than if you were hurt in childhood and the hurt happened repeatedly. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? So number one is how severe is your hurt? Number two, have you gotten personal help before? What I mean by that is if you went to see a therapist or a counselor and that person helped you with your hurt, then theoretically, anyway, this time around, you don't have to spend as much time in therapy because some of the problems that caused you to seek professional help was already alleviated. But the opposite side though is that if that therapist or counselor did not help or maybe even created more hurt, then you may have to spend some of the time this time to address previous hurt from that other therapist or counselor, which means that your time in therapy now could actually be prolonged. Factor number three is how many safe people do you have in your life, whether it's family members, friends, or whoever it is that you consider to be a safe person. If you have more safe people in your life, you don't just depend on therapy. You can kind of spread your problems or struggles or growing pains with the other people that are safe, and that might translate into a shorter therapy run. Factor number four, how experienced is your therapist? Because obviously, if you are seeing a more experienced therapist, then chances are your goals, your progress in therapy would be faster, would be met faster than if you were seeing someone who's, say, not as experienced. Factor number five, how often are your sessions? If you come in every week, for instance, you could expect that you would have a quicker progress than if you skip every other week or if you come once a month. In my experience, if you come in less than once a month and you're just starting up therapy, that is not going to be as beneficial for you. Factor number six, what modality is your therapist or counselor using? If your therapist is experienced and you're seeing that person once a week, but that therapist is using something, a model or theory that is not that effective, then it can translate into you spending years in therapy without much change. So the modality is pretty important. So speaking of modality, number seven is how well do you know your internal world? Well, that's the modality I use, which is internal family systems therapy. And so another way of saying internal world is your soul. How well do you know your soul? How well do you know the parts that reside in your soul? If you don't know them very well, then there will be a learning curve when you first start therapy. But if you come in knowing, oh, I've got this protector that is a manager part, and this manager part is protecting this exile that is carrying shame or feelings of rejection and abandonment, well, that might cut some of the time that we spend in therapy because you already did your work. You already know that there's a manager part over here that is protecting this little exile over here. But if you don't know these things, that's completely okay. It just means that there might be a learning curve. It might add to your time in therapy. Now, if this is interesting to you and you want to learn more, I invite you to go check out my website, aimforbreakthrough.com, and you'll find more about why I love this modality so much. And I encourage you to do that. Check it out. And you know what? Until next time, I pray and hope that you will make the right decision, whether therapy is for you and if it is for you in this season. Bye for now.